This is the second annual Global Read-a-Thon of the Center for Studies on Africa and its Diaspora, coming to you live from Georgia State University in Atlanta. Prepare for an epic journey as we celebrate Black History Month and dare to crown the greatest book of all time. Here is our host, former CNN anchor and White House correspondent, Suzanne Malveaux.
Well, from folks who have made history to someone who is making history, the First Lady of Georgia State University, Dr. Bridget Blake. Dr. Blake serves as a principal business analyst for the MITRE Corporation. She is a powerhouse in and of herself. Dr. Bridget Blake, welcome.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. Tell us a little bit about what this day and this event means to you, because I know there's been so much excitement that's generated on campus, but we also have people from around the world who are paying attention today to books.
Yes, and I think Georgia State is such an innovative university. It's perfectly fitting that today be the day that we bring literature to the forefront in celebrating Black History Month, and it's just so wonderful to see the diversity of books and the diversity of perspectives represented today.
What is the student body like? I mean, you are part of the campus, you and your husband, an integral part of the campus, and it's expanded, it's grown, and we've seen so many of the different departments involved in this. What is the sense that you get here on campus about this event and the importance of learning specifically about African American literature?
So our campus is unique in that we are a minority-serving institution. We have, just as I mentioned, a tremendously diverse student body. With the way our campus is, it allows every student to feel like they are not really in the minority, because we have such, we have groups, we have African Americans, Hispanic, Asian American. Each group we have like I would say at least 10% in each group represented. So they're able to find communities here where you might not find that in other universities, predominantly white institutions. So I think anytime we can highlight the contributions of African Americans, it means a lot to our students, but our students as a whole, not just our African American students, but the whole student bodies. And the student are able to engage in ways that they will once they get out in the world and feel safe here. Again, with just the ability to make connections with people of so many diverse and different backgrounds.
Now, you have a background in STEM, very impressive. I mean, it runs really the gamut in terms of what your expertise is. And sometimes people don't see that as really relating to the literature folks, right? The more creatives. So how do you bridge those two worlds?
So I think it's really interesting. I think the foundation in STEM allows you to look at any problem and be able to approach it creatively. So you start with the data, right? That's the natural place. But as you start to work in teams, you realize the importance of relationships. And those relationships are often forged across things like books and what's the human connection as well. So that's why I've enjoyed revisiting some of these books to kind of show, what the power of resiliency and the power of the human story as it relates to any endeavor, including the sciences and STEM.
And I know you're going to read from your favorite book as well in just a bit. Really quick question. I know you have two sons, you and your husband. Are they readers? How do you get them to read more?
Well, I will say I like paper books. I know the digital books are popular, but I enjoy taking time with my young son, and we often read before bedtime still, even now. He's 12, yes. So that's one way we get to enjoy reading, is doing it together. And my older son now has new interests, and so he'll call me and talk to me about new things he's reading and seeing and developing those perspectives as he too is matriculating at university. So that's kind
Job
of
well
we do it
done,
together.
Mom.
Thank you.
All right, well, great. We're looking forward to your reading, Dr. Blake. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's go to the reading corner now. This is going to be a wonderful reading. Exciting to hear the reading from First Lady Dr. Bridget Blake.
So I will be reading Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community by Martin Luther King, Jr. I chose this book because Dr. King Took some time in 1967 to rent a house in Jamaica and write this book. I was born in Jamaica, so we have the Atlanta-Jamaica connection. And I think these are just some of his, typical of his impactful words. Nothing could be more tragic than for men to live in these revolutionary times and fail to achieve the new attitudes and the new mental outlooks that the new situation demands. In Washington Irving's familiar story of Rip Van Winkle, the one thing that we usually remember is that Rip slept 20 years. There's another important point, however, that is almost always overlooked. It was the sign on the inn in the little town on the Hudson from which Rip departed and scaled the mountain for his long sleep. When he went up, the sign had a picture of King George III of England. Rip was confused, flustered, and lost. He knew not who Washington was. The most striking thing about this story is not that Rip slept 20 years, but that he slept through a revolution that would alter the course of human history. One of the great liabilities of history is that all too many people fail to remain awake through great periods of social change. Every society has its protectors of the status quo and its fraternities of the indifferent, who are notorious for sleeping through revolutions. But today, our very survival depends on our ability to stay awake, to adjust to new ideas, to remain vigilant, and to face the challenge of change. The large house in which we live demands that we transform this worldwide neighborhood into a worldwide brotherhood. Together we must learn to live as brothers, or together we will be forced to perish as fools. We must work passionately and indefatigably to bridge the gulf between our scientific progress and our moral progress. One of the great problems of mankind is that we suffer from a poverty of the spirit which stands in glaring contrast to our scientific and technological abundance. The richer we have become materially, the poorer we have become morally and spiritually. Every man lives in two realms, the internal and the external. The internal is that realm of spiritual ends expressed in art, literature, morals, and religion. The external is that complex of devices, techniques, mechanisms, and instrumentalities by means of which we live. Our problem today is that we have allowed the internal to become lost in the external. We have allowed the means by which we live to outdistance the ends for which we live. So much of modern life can be summarized in that suggestive phrase of Thoreau, improved means to an unimproved end. This is the serious predicament, the deep and haunting problem confronting modern man. Enlarged material powers spell enlarged peril if there is not proportionate growth of the soul. When the external of man's nature subjugates the internal, dark storm clouds begin to form. Western civilization is particularly vulnerable at this moment, for our material abundance has brought us neither peace of mind nor serenity of spirit.